Australian graziers are in the grip of a perfect storm, with the forces of climate and markets decimating the industry.
This is the toughest time in my life, and I'm sure it's the toughest time in many beef and sheep producing families' lives.
We had the live X trouble, which killed the cattle market. So people thought, well, we're going to feed. We're not going to sell on this market. And then we get the next failed wet season. A lot of people here have come, well, we've got to sell now. We're not going to feed 2 years in a row. We really will go broke. So they're selling into a really poor market.
With graziers at their wits' end, a young and innovative fifth-generation local landholder, James Walker, drew on his extensive network to bring together some of the best minds in business, science and agriculture for a Drought Finance Future Summit in Longreach.
This is a serious drive for solutions, and this will be a summit that I hope will be real and outcome driven. We all have our opinions on the problems, but today we are looking to exchange ideas to make solutions.
Australian farmers are used to weathering drought and volatile markets, but many at the Drought Finance Future Summit talked of this being a critical point in time where change is necessary for survival.
I've never seen so many in our industry so under the pump. I've never seen strong, resilient men really struggling to handle it.
For the past 2 years, the majority of the eastern states has had, if not below average rainfall, very much below average rainfall. And of course that's put a heck of a lot of pressure on the cattle markets. We've filled our slaughterhouses, there's huge congestion at the abattoirs, and the restocker interest is virtually redundant.
In 2011, Bentley's was commissioned to do the last QR, Queensland Rural Debt Survey. And some of the figures that came out of that was the Queensland beef industry in 2011 had a debt of $9 billion. And the gross value production of the Queensland beef industry was only $3 billion. So that's a debt to GDP ratio of 300%. And to put that into context, Greece, at the same time, we'll all remember the problems they had. They only had a debt of GDP ratio of 175%.
I saw the situation, saw the problems in front of us, and they were only escalating. So I sat about just brainstorming what response would be the best, and I looked at the greatest business schools in the world, and they do case studies. So that's what I thought would be a basis to create some responses.
James has asked me today to basically present the case study to you, as I believe it will form the basis of our discussions over the next 2 days, and hopefully we can bring about some outcomes which producers can put into practice.
Solutions begin with the people in the room, and at the Drought Finance Future Summit, the room just got a lot bigger. As ideas flowed, the enthusiasm gave a sense that the seeds of change were being sown.
Yeah, right.
It's very rare around the world to have this sort of mix meeting in the one room, especially getting, if I can say, climate scientists, resilient regions specialists, tough cattle producers, tough wool producers, local government, research and development corporations, specialists from overseas, bankers. You've got all this in the one room, and that's pretty rare.
I've come here to challenge the way we think about these issues, because the business as usual model isn't working. And I'm suggesting that while we might look at a case study around a hypothetical bankrupt farmer, the real issue is how we as regions, as communities, as farmers, as an industry, how we work more cooperatively, more strategically, because at the moment it's every man or woman for themselves, and that model's not working.
You've got to be relevant, you've got to stay relevant, and you've got to keep changing. Anybody who sits still, the world's just going to pass you by.
Universities don't teach agriculture, and there must be a yawning chasm emerging between the needs of the future industry and the skills that we will have available, simply because the people that have got the skills will have retired.
Financial literacy emerged as one of the hot topics in the panel discussion.
I guess our financial literacy is probably different to, say, your average family farm. And because of the way we've had to be innovative with debt structure and what funding products we've used, I guess we understand finance, I guess, maybe a little different to everybody else. Looking at the Kidworth scenario, I mean, we were looking at buying country as everyone else was, because everyone else was buying land, so why aren't we? But every time we run scenarios, we could not make it work, so hence we never got in. We were probably some of the lucky ones that haven't got that huge debt burden now, followed up with the drought, etc.
One of our immediate past board members of Nuffield regards financial literacy as the great constraint in Australian agriculture, and he's doing something proactively within Nuffield to try and address that.
As a nation, agriculture generally needs to lift its game in terms of financial literacy. Now, it certainly was indicated tonight there are some people, obviously, who are doing that very, very well, because there's, you know, across Australia there's some outstanding examples, and it's not all doom and gloom in Australian agriculture.
John Cole characterised how the world is changing and offered new ways of thinking about how regions can build resilience.
I'm suggesting that the issues that Jamie is presenting on the table through this forum are issues that concern us all, and that we can't leave it as a region or as a nation even to our producers to solve the issues they confront by themselves. That's why it's one plus a lot of others. I think local government is going to have to find a role in this, because one of the big things local government's doing more generally, because the other levels of government are not doing it effectively, is actually getting beyond the culverts and the roads and that's having to play a role in economic development. And it's a new role, and it's something people are still learning. I think China will be relevant to us, and we are putting our heads in the sand if we believe they won't be. The geopolitical strategic reality is that it is the Chinese century. So we have to accept how, or not, if not accept, at least work out how we play in that century.
An ambitious event like this summit doesn't get off the ground without real passion for the people and culture in the industry.
Australian agriculture's got such a great heritage, and we're here at the Stockman's Hall of Fame, and you know, it sort of showcases that. And all those people that have generationally contributed to the heritage of Australia are in a lot of turmoil at the moment. That their skill sets and their capabilities cannot be rivaled or matched. So we want to provide opportunities for those people to stay in the game if they want to be there.
The thing that impressed me about what James has done here today, he's got a lot of very, what I consider, young, innovative people that have come from a background of the industry or are operating in the industry and making a success of it.
I think the initiative is brilliant. I mean, we'd expect nothing less from a Nuffield scholar, of course. But no, look, seriously, I think that is obviously an issue out here in Western Queensland. The breadth of people that he's actually been able to bring together here is quite extraordinary. And you know, the wish is that out of this conversation we've had today and tomorrow morning, that something meaningful will come out of it.
This is going to be the best panel discussion we have ever had.
Visitors were treated to outback hospitality, with CEOs swagging among the coolabars and Chester the horse dropping in on Ben Thomas's presentation.
If you can just...
People can create real opportunities for each other, and I implore you to join Agrihive as a platform to be able to explore those opportunities and to build resilience in our rural regions.